Hello again, everybody. Hey, I told you it was going to be inconsistent. So, 2 weeks, why not? Yeah, this one took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. Not because I was like, I just can't trudge through Deathnote. Can't trudge through looking through pictures and reading it right to left because it hurts my brain. No, this one actually took a little while. Because those of you who have missed the last episode, I am doing Deathnote Volume 6. Why am I doing Volume 6? Because I've already read 1 through 5. I know some people are probably like, well, you should read 12, because part 12 is at the beginning of Deathnote, and blah, 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 blah. I don't care. That's just true, honest things. Like, I'll read it when I get to it. Maybe I'll add something. Probably won't. From what I've heard, it's like, it kind of really doesn't add that much to the story. It just kind of explains the rules a little bit, but the first few books do that anyway. Now, like I said, this one took me a little bit, and if you are venting, yes, I do still have it. I'm going to keep it. It's mine, I bought it. And also, I just tend to keep my, any comics usually I get, I tend to keep them for quite a while, and I don't tend to get rid of them, even ones I don't like. And yes, mangas are comics. I don't care if you want to act like they're... No, that's highly different. They are graphic novels. Graphic novels are comics. Comics are... It's still comic. In all essence, so... Screw it. I don't give a shit. Oh, and sorry if I sound a little weird. My throat has been bugging me for the past few days. It's usually why I've been drinking tea. Maybe that'll help a little. Pardon. But, yeah... decided to go ahead and read Deathnote Volume 6. There was something else that was lining up before it, but I was like, I'm going to read Deathnote. I got it just like literally shortly before I had shot the video for Dead and Loving It. I was like, I could read this thing. No, I want to read Deathnote first. So, I read Deathnote Volume 6, but the reason why it took me only 2 weeks to read was, I think a little over 100 pages or so, I think. I gotta look. Oh, it doesn't say. It doesn't really say. Okay, no, it's over 200 pages. Which, to be fair, is like the length of a short book, but still a decent-sized one. Now, the reason why it seemingly took me so long was because I haven't read any of the Deathnotes in quite a while. And unfortunately, this assumes that you read it like immediately after you read 5. And because I had to reread a few things, I needed to remember, well, why is this going on? I thought, oh yeah, no. And pretty much in this, it's still carrying on the story that really started up, or I should say storyline, that kind of started up around near like the midway point of 4, and pretty much just ends it. It's a little story arc. An arc within an arc, if you may. And I will say it's like, I really love the first, like, 3 or so volumes of Deathnote. I really loved how how smart the characters were. I loved how they thought of things that I probably would never have thought about, which is always good. But, hey, you did outsmart a dumbass, to be fair. But, hey, still, it's good that they did that. And I was like, alright, this is really, really good. Alright, where are we going with this next? Especially since I knew that this whole series takes place over the course of 12 volumes. I was wondering, it's like, well, what else are they going to do? I mean, there's only so long you can continue the L chasing light. And yes, I get the kind of... I guess they're trying to make a little serendipity there or something with the L is trying to get the light or something. Even though we learn like L's name is actually like Ryuzaki, I believe. Or it might be a fake name, who knows. And he's just another kid, just like Light is. And I was like, okay, well, why is it? Whatever, who gives a shit? And I was like, alright, what are they going to do next? Because, I mean, no, this is interesting, but after a while, I was like, well, either Light's going to get caught fairly quickly, or L's just nowhere near as good of a detective as he pretends to be. And where they decided to go, I didn't like a whole lot. But I was like, I'm still going to keep reading this. I'm going to read it to the end. One, it's only 12 volumes. It's not like if I was reading Naruto and I didn't like it past volume 5, why am I going to keep reading the other 100, 200 plus books? That's idiocy in its best way. Just like personified there. That's just exact definition of idiocy. But this one I was like, I may not like it, but I still think it's very good. I still like how the characters are written for the most part. Even though L has begun to slowly... It's like, I liked how he was written, even though I didn't agree with him because he just wants to go after Kira, or as they call him, Kira, because that's what Light referred to himself as, which of course is... if I'm not mistaken, it means Angel of Death or God of Death in Japanese. And sorry if I'm going to butcher some names. I don't speak Japanese, so Japanese sucks. So I have to imagine what it sounds like in my head. Although I do know how to pronounce light for the most part. And the letter L. Brought to you by the letter L. But yeah, they also introduced a female kind of like supporting character for Light to kind of give him a girl that goes after him, because a lot of Japanese anime and mangas do that. Oh, it's like, oh, we can't have him just be single, or we can't just have him already have a girlfriend or anything like that. He has to have this one that we're going to introduce. He's going to be preppy and peppy and all this, and just really kind of be ultimately the like extremes of every girly girl you can think of. Though to be fair, I will say in this particular series, she does have a lot of that preppy peppiness, which, yes, I know it's almost alliteration there. But they kind of balance it out with the fact she is still smart to her own degree. Sure, they do kind of have a little bit of there's a bit of a sexist argument there that the fact that she's nowhere near as smart as Light is. But they do explain, like, she is smart compared to everyone else, short of Light and Ryuzaki. L, of course. And that's actually kind of good. I was like, alright, even though he's like, technically she's still the dumber out of these three, she's not stupid. She's not what you think of very many female leads or female supporting characters. Sorry, my cat wants in my closet for some reason. I guess because she thinks that that's the way out. Though actually, she'll just get in there. She'll just want to lay down. It's like, I found a spot. Ugh. But anyway, yeah, I do like that. Even though they do kind of go some of the similar routes with the female supporting character, and that she's not exactly the most brilliant person, she's still very smart compared to the rest of them. Even though some of her other characters it can be a little grating. Like, they constantly have her with the face and the victory, 2 fingers, and after a while it gets to be a little annoying. And I will go ahead and say this is also one that I didn't get into because of the anime. I have seen like the first 5 minutes of the original anime, and I'm gonna get crucified for this. I know people love subs over dubs because usually the dubs aren't very good. Usually the voices don't fit what you think they're going to sound like. But oh my god, could I not watch the sub. It begins obviously in the Death God's world. I really want to say the first Shinigami that Light met, though, I want to say his name was Ryuzaki. I can't remember though. It's been so long since I really read the first one. I know I said I had to reread some of these others, but I read like 4 and 5. I didn't read 1, 2, and 3. Mostly because I remembered most of them. I just always remember names. Just because I am a wee bit stupid. I mean, I know there's an Shinigami that her name is Rem. And in fact, that I, for longest, thought it was a he or just a thing. And it's like, oh no, I am female. Alright, cool. That's something, I guess. Why was that important to say? But I guess it needed to be said. Pardon me. And I really want to say that thing's name was Ryuzaki again. But I don't know. But originally, like, the anime opens up with him sitting there talking to another demon or another god of death or something like that. And he says he dropped his book into the human world just for fun. And that voice alone, just I couldn't get behind. It's like normally whenever I would think of the Shinigami's voice, I would think almost kind of like a distant, almost kind of like whispering that you're hearing coming around and going through into you. Mostly because that sounds like what a godly kind of being would do. Instead, it sounds exactly like you would think every other pretty much demon thing sounds like in anime. It sounds like Rocky, and it doesn't fit very well to me. It's like I never thought that they would sound like that. It's like, and it's off-putting. It's the same reason why I can't get into Trinity Blade. I love the mangas. In Trinity Blade, I can't get into I can't get into the sub. I haven't tried the dub. I can't get into it at all because the main protagonist, he sounds whiny. And it's like, when I read him, I didn't read him as whiny, I just read him as a little pompous, which is supposed to be the idea, but he just sounds, it's annoying. I couldn't put up with it. But hey, that's my opinions on some anime, and my probably wrong opinions when it comes to dubs versus subs. That's a whole different argument. But what about Volume 6 here? What did I think about, or why did I think about it? Why did I think about it? But really, I thought it was pretty good. I still don't particularly enjoy what the storyline are going with this, where pretty much Light has given up the Deathnote powers. I don't particularly like it all that much, mostly just because I feel like it keeps treading the same things over and over again. Like, constantly we're going over the Ryuzaki thinks he's still Kira. Ryuzaki doesn't believe him. And Light's proven to him, it's like, hey, I don't remember anything. And I think, like, in the 4th or 5th book, again, it's like, some of these are kind of forgettable. So that's another problem. It's like, I keep forgetting stuff about them, even though I just read them. And I'm like, well, I guess that did happen. But let's say, like, Light took, like, a polygraph or something to prove that he wasn't lying, and he passed, and Light's like trying to help him, and they come across that there is another person who's using Kira's power, which obviously they say it's like, oh well, they're using Light's notebook, but then you learn halfway through this one that no, it's actually this guy's not using Light's notebook, it's using the supporting female character whose name is Misa. Though she, for some reason, keeps referring to herself in the third person, but she also calls herself Misa. And I'm pretty sure her name is Misa Amen, or something like that. So why she calls herself Misa for some reason, I don't know. Sorry, I have a cat down here by my foot, if you're wondering what I'm touching. It's just a little fuzzy thing. It was in the other video. But yeah, she pops up and we learn that, oh yeah, this is actually her Shinigami. Rim is being used by this guy. So you're wondering, alright, well, where are they going to go with this? Because we did learn at the end of the 5th book that there is this one corporation that seems to be the ones behind now more Kira deaths. That these ones seem to be a lot weirder. A lot of them tend to not be focusing on known criminals or terrorists or anything like that. Instead, just being on anybody who's just like somebody who accidentally caused the death of another person. Like, oh, this person accidentally ran into this other person who ran in front of them in their car and killed the person who they hit. They killed the person who hit the car, even if it wasn't the other person's fault. So they kind of realize, like, okay, this Kira's not as benevolent, and also tends to be a lot more out for their own personal game. And eventually they come across, it's probably these 7 guys. One is called H because we need more stuff like that. It's like, we have enough characters with so 1 letter names. Please stop with it. And eventually they need to try and figure it out. Pardon me. And strangely enough, how they do it, it's not through... Even though they have this whole big concocted plan and everything to try and figure it out, Light and Hell come across it. This is where I like how they wrote Misa's character, even though there are some times that she grates on me. It actually is Misa who helps to figure it out because of her eventually being able to talk to Rem again. Even though she originally gave up her powers voluntarily, and because of that, she had her life. Obviously, she'd also used the powers that the Shinigami eyes, where she can see people's names and everything and kill them by that, because it's obviously what you need for a Deathnote. How much Rem works? Pretty much Rem concocts her own plan to be able to get to where Misa can see her again. And then she talks to Misa and explains about what's going on. She doesn't say who the user of the notebook is. It's like, because if I know, or if you know instantly, and I tell you, you're going to just look at them the whole time. It's like, it's better that you just kind of happen across me whenever they're giving her this interview for this commercial. And it's weird, and it's kind of... I don't think anybody would ever do that. Hey, who cares? And eventually she learns it's this one guy, his name is Higachi, I think it's how it's pronounced. Hijugachi? Maybe? I don't know. Like I said, what's your names? Sorry, I don't speak Japanese very well, and so I don't know how certain pronunciations would work. But she learns it's this guy. He's kind of a creep and kind of an idiot. So it kind of makes you wonder, it's like, how did they end up giving the power or giving the notebook to him? But whatever. This whole big, long, kind of convoluted plan to kind of catch him in the act happens, where he's trying to eventually be captured killing somebody because L wants to know. And this is where I began to really lose any of my real care when it came to L. And Light kind of pointed out, I was like, L's just going to let people die so that way he can learn how it's done. I know that there are plenty of people out there that want to know why something is. And sometimes they want to know more the why than they are worried about actually solving the problem. Like, just to get into a little bit of a political debate, it's like more people want to know why people are racist than try to stamp out racism in general. Same with sexism and all this. Which seems somewhat counterproductive to me. It's like, yeah, you want to figure out why, but you need to also figure out how to stop it. And that's where L kind of loses me. He's too engrossed with the constant why, or the how, pardon me. And he doesn't figure out, or anything like that. He doesn't want to stop it. He just wants to let it happen, just experiment pretty much. And it doesn't seem to go with his character at times. But hey, I'll take a little bit of bad character writing, especially since this is the end of this story arc of a new Kira who happens to have got Misa's book. And it still brings up, well, who has Light's book, which I'm guessing is going to be the next 3 or so chapters or volumes, because technically the book's like a bunch of different chapters. Like it like starts at like chapter 45, 44. That's close, and it ends on like chapter 50 something. So by the end of it all, they catch the guy. It's this big like police chase thing, and it ended alright. I mean, I would say it's like, if you love this series or anything, And you're gonna like it, obviously. I didn't feel bad after reading it. I didn't feel dumb after reading it. I, in fact, am happy to see this storyline finally end. This particular story arc area. I will say that much because the story arc was beginning to grate a little bit. Mostly because it kept repeating itself at times. I mean, that's a problem I have with like Harry Turtledove, who I actually really like some of his alternate histories, but like his last few in like his How Few Remain original series, like the last like 2, 3 books were nothing but repetition. Like pretty much they felt like they were the exact same books and they were a chore to slog through. Oh well though. I got through them. I got through this. If I were to give this anything, because if anything, I'd give these more like a stars or anything like that, or more like should you read it? I can't suggest this to people who have never read this story, which seems bad because that's usually how most mangas are. It's like you can't suggest it to people who have never read it before, and this one unfortunately is one of those instances. But I would say it's like out of the past few, it's probably the most readable. It's probably the most enjoyable. I like the past out 5, which really wasn't that great. 4, which really wasn't good, very good either. My cat has rolled over on my foot now. Yes, you're being cute. You just want attention, huh? Okay, I'll give you some. But if you enjoyed the series, I would say it's like this is actually where you can easily be like, yeah, I can enjoy this again. I enjoyed it fairly well. Like if I were to give this a star rating, it's like a 3, 3.5. Really, and I hate doing halves. But it's not good enough for a 4. Where a 4 I would think would be like, oh, this is a really really enjoyable book. I mean, maybe there's some problems here or there, but it's like it's mostly really enjoyable. And so I'm like, it's an alright not introduction. Do not have this be your introduction to Death Note. You will be so confused. But it's a decent addition. There we go. To the entire series. I don't feel bad about owning this. This is a manga where it's like I enjoyed it. I really loved reading it and seeing where these characters are going with certain things. So hey, hopefully this will just get better from here because I still have 6 more because 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 6. I know people are like, well, 6 plus 6 is 12. Yeah, but sometimes technically it's like 6.25. No, more like 5.25 because like the last volume, from what I've heard, is like most of it's nothing. And then they finally talk about the end of the story and also the prequel bullshit, but who cares? So, like I said, if you enjoyed Death Note, I would say get it. You're not going to feel disappointed, not as disappointed as it was in 4 and 5, which weren't bad, they just were insanely meh. This one's nowhere near as meh as it. It begins a little meh, ends a little meh, but the middle parts, it's pretty good. It's like having a really juicy hamburger served on 2 completely non-toasted buns. You know, it's like you got some meh on top and some meh on bottom, but hey, you got goodness in the middle. So that's something at least. And there's my simile and metaphor for the day. Probably a simile since I used like. So, hey, I gotta read something else now. And unfortunately, okay, I'm gonna be a little honest with y'all. I am trying to introduce myself to more and more stuff written by people who maybe I wouldn't have read normally. And one of those I tried to introduce myself, pardon me, a while back was L.J. Smith. I know people are already cringing a bit, but I tried to introduce myself to her with her first Night World novel called Secret Vampire. And it was a disaster. It was so poorly constructed, and I see where Stephanie Meyer got a lot of her ideas for her Twilight series and that. But from what I've heard, Vampire Diaries is better. So I have the first one of that. So I'm going to move on to that. So yes, I'm going to read the very first volume, technically, of the Vampire Diaries. Not the 2 book. I actually found a copy of the original very first book all by itself. Am I going to enjoy it? Am I going to be able to put it out in 2 weeks? I don't know. We'll see what happens. So until then, it'll be inconsistent as always. So I'll see y'all later.